Atlantic Bridge Initiative is an opportunity presented to the current generation of preachers to join in what God is doing in our space, but also in far spaces that God had already created.
I think it should be known that as people, we also want to know our identity. Not only that, but always as Christians, sometimes we are being mocked that you are believing in the white religion. But now when you start having African Americans coming over, that dispels the myth that is around people, and it helps not only people but also ourselves. It gives us that confidence that there are people who are like us who are doing the same thing that we are doing.
Every time when I think about the ABI, joy comes in my heart. The first thing that gives me joy is that I'm given an opportunity to worship, to praise, and to honor God in my own context. I get to worship Him in a way that I was grown in. I don't have to learn a new thing from a different culture and a different color. So it gives me joy. It also gives me joy to understand that beyond the deep seas and the many seas that we have traveled, it has brought my brothers closer home, and I've learned from them that we are not so much different. And it gives me joy that most of the things as a fairly young preacher that I'm going through, they've went through, and therefore I have hope. My dreams are getting bigger in terms of what they are doing in the US and what can be achieved here.
But now there has not been a strong link between ourselves with the African American church.
With white missionaries, you kind of like limited in many things, but with Black Americans, you feel reunited with your brothers that you haven't seen in many years or so. And so doing mission with the Black Americans comes in as doing mission work, not as a job, not as a work, but as a fellowship with your brothers, but also with God.
Or how I see the impact that the preachers, the ABI had on Caesar Street Church of Christ is mega. It's big. In a sense that just the Sunday after the weekend of the revival, the singing was different in church. The connection was different in church. The preaching was different in church. And that is what we have envisioned before we initiated the revival. So I think it has made a bigger impact. We have moved from just being a worshiping church, but to being a connected, God-worshiping church.
Now, in life, things changes. And now we have a generation around Africa which wants people that look like them.
If there's anything I'd like to say is, whatever happens in the future, I pray that this doesn't stop with us, but it goes to the next generation, to the fourth generation, even further. And my prayer and desire is that if anything happens in life, my African American brothers should come back, never stop coming to visit us.